Thank you for that, Paulo. Pleasure to be here as always. So my talk is on a study there which is being conducted by my PhD student, who is an Icelander based in Qatar. So we wanted to look into the kinetic change, I would say, and the changes in muscle activation for patients that have undergone ACL repair. So when people go for ACL repair, it's usually an autograft, and they're harvested from either the patella or the hamstring. So, but because you are removing tissue, you are compromising a bit the biomechanical integrity of the joint. So for athletes, that can have an effect on jumping and landing. And I guess it's a occupational hazard for athletes to do a lot of those activities, which then can make them also at risk for re-rupturing the ligament. This is our cohort: young, fit sportsmen, active, very active, and playing at a reasonably high level. So these three groups. We have a control group, we have a patella tendon group, in which the autograft was harvested from, and a hamstring group as well. So the subjects were asked to jump continuously on a single leg for 30 seconds. So when we measured the EMG response of those 6 muscles there, but in order also to identify time points of the jumping series, we placed an IMU sensor at the lower lumbar region there, and then also did a maximum voluntary contraction calibration. So this is just the movement, and just a single leg jump here. Where you can see the movement. They weren't given any particular instructions on how to carry out the movement. So here we can see the EMG processed signal there of those 6 muscles, and we did a bandpass filtering, Butterworth filtering, and also RMS. Took the RMS values there. Here's the time stamping. So here we can see how the EMG signal and the IMU signal for the acceleration signal there were synchronized, and the task in hand was to identify the landing and the jump phase, so the toe-off phase. So we defined the landing there as when the total acceleration signal exceeds 1 g, and prior to that we have the flight phase, and then finding the next peak there as for the toe off. So that's how we subdivided the movement into shorter time series. So zooming in here, and here each color will indicate a single phase going from jumping up and to the next jumping up. So and the vertical lines there, they define the time of landing. Okay, so next thing what we did was that we took these EMG signals of these phases and normalize from 0 to 100, just like you would do with a gait cycle. So you normalize there for heel strike until the next heel strike, but here we were just looking for the jumping up until the next jumping off. Analyze the EMG signal, and then what we did was that we took the number of jumps and subdivided that into the three thirds, shall we say, and worked out an average EMG curve for each of those 3/3. So, and what we were seeing here is that the peak of the EMG signal starts to move towards the time of landing after as we go further into the jump series. So what I mean by that is that if we can have a look at the so here is the control group for vastus medialis, so for the quadriceps here, one of the quadriceps. So so the solid line here is the left, and the dashed line here is the right leg. So we should be seeing here this symmetry. But what we see here is that the first third of this jump series, the peak is here, and then for the second it goes here, and then for the third it moves kind of closer to the jumping phase. For the patellar tendon group, we can see the same kind of effect. Obviously lower signal here, as these are normalized as a percentage of MEC. So which makes sense, because that here you have extracted a piece of the patellar tendon, and the same here goes for the hamstring group. And even here we can see that the peak is starting to go before the landing, so which is what we tend to think of as a bit of a defense mechanism there for the subjects. So biceps femoris, it looks like this. This one looks a little bit more fuzzy, but what we're seeing here is also that the peaks here are happening at a very different stages of the normalized jump cycle and gluteus maximus. So in the interest of time, but the take-home message here is really this here. So that as we move further into as the muscle gets more fatigued, the peak moves further to the landing side, but for the hamstring group here, we can see that the peak of the peak of the hamstrings here is after the quadriceps, and that's not good, because from a biomechanical perspective, if the hamstrings are coming in at a later stage than the quadriceps, so the quadriceps, they are pulling then the tibia anteriorly, which is in fact what the ACL is working against. So effectively what you're doing is that you're straining the ACL more than necessary. So that's kind of, I think I'm on time here. So yeah, so that's kind of the take-home message here. So when the muscles get fatigued, the tendency is that the muscles peak earlier than the jump cycle. We saw better symmetry in the hamstring group, and then for the patellar tendon group for this particular movement. So this earlier peak activation during the jump cycle, we can interpret that as a sign of kind of a defense mechanism. But if the quadriceps peak before the hamstring, that is a cause of concern, and can lead to unnecessarily higher load of the ACL during the landing. Yeah, and then the idea is whether we can use this as an indication as a when return to play for those athletes as the rehabilitation progresses. So, thank you.